This is Isa Q Tan welcoming you to another Asian Agribiz podcast. Feed is the number one cost on a farm, and it is the first component producers must check on to see where money might be leaking and to produce the pigs more efficiently. In this podcast, our correspondent Hatu talks with Nigel James Godde, Sales Director for the Pig Division at Big Dutchman Asia, on how intelligent feeding programs can help producers improve their efficiency during this challenging time of historically high ingredient prices and fierce competition.
Hi, Nigel. Thank you for joining me in this podcast.
Hi, too. Pleasure to be involved in the podcast. So thanks for the invitation.
Okay, so today we'll talk about saving the cost with intelligent feeding programs. The reason I raised this topic is that we are in a crisis time, with the historically high ingredient prices and the fierce competitiveness. So I think it is wise to thoroughly check all the farming components to see where the money can be leaking and to produce the pigs quicker. As we know, feed is the number one cost on a farm, so we start to look at this first. I've learned that adjusting the feeding program will help farms doing that. Do you agree with me on this?
Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, feeding makes up over 70% of the production costs. So therefore, it's absolutely logical to target the feeding program to try and extract as many savings as possible.
Sure. Speaking about feeding programs, I've heard about the phase feeding concept. I need your help in this. Could you help explaining to me and our audience briefly what it is?
Yeah, so I guess phase feeding traditionally is a type of crude age-based step feeding, where 2 to 3 feed types are introduced based on the age of the finisher pig.
Okay, I see. But I think there are challenges that phase feeding cannot solve. For example, if we have different diets for different age of the finisher, then with the change of the diet, it can make the piglets or the pigs lose palatability and reduce feed intake. And we can also face some problems with the availability of the distribution of the feed to the pigs and the freshness of the feed that can impact the smell, which is important to pigs' palatability. Am I going in the right direction?
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, the pig's sense of smell is so much more pronounced than that of humans, and their taste is probably a similar level to humans. So, yes, when the diet or the food type is changed, there is a large change in the feed and also in regards to energy and protein ratios, and indeed smell and palatability. So this leads to short-term deficiency and temporarily slows the performance of the finisher pigs. So all very important points.
So what can be the solution for those challenges then?
I guess for us, what we try to focus on is we introduce multi-phase feeding, which is truly an age-based feeding as opposed to a step feeding. So to explain, during the course of the finishing period, let's say after nursery from 30 kgs to say a slaughter weight of 125 kilograms, the feed requires change almost daily, especially in regards to the protein and energy requirements. We need to ensure that the composition of the feed matches that of the age requirements of the finisher pig. So I guess as an example, from about 80 to 85 days onwards in the finishing phase, the amount of protein required starts to drop away, while the amount of energy requirement increases. And if you think about that for a moment, protein is the most expensive input of the feed mixture. If we overfeed protein at this stage, we're basically burning money.
That sounds a good concept, but could you elaborate on it a little bit more? How do we actually do that?
Well, the multi-phase feeding is basically, it incorporates constant blending of the feed mixtures every day. So you're creating basically a new feed mix every day, which is based on a feed curve which is matched to the age of the animal. So the pig should receive slightly different composed feed every day. So adjusting the feed to the pig's age improves their daily weight gain, maximizing the performance of the feed. And as I said, given higher daily weight gains of between 15 and 20 grams per pig. And further to that, it improves the feed conversion.
Hmm. The key word I got here from your explanation is the blending. How do we do that? What do we need for a system like that?
Yes, well, it's an excellent question. It's obviously not something one can do by hand, especially when we talk about such large finisher complexes across Asia.
Hmm.
So we need an automated electronic feeding system that allows the accurate control of the feed blending and the delivery to each individual feeder in the pig barn. An example of such a system from Big Dutchman perspective is a product we call Ecomatic. This system is intelligent and yes, simple to operate. So what is the system? The system utilizes volume-based blending. So we can offer 2 to 8 different feed compounds, feed types stored in silos. Now, across Asia would probably do 2 to 3 normally for finishers. But the software is linked to the automatic dispenser of each silo and administers an accurate amount of each of the feed types as the feed line moves along the line of silos. The software then automatically sends that feed blend to a designated valve, which is above the feeder in the finisher barn. And on the way, it's actually blended in the feed line on its way, and it's designated. We know the weight, and we know exactly which feeder that has gone to on the farm.
Hmm. Okay, so we can make sure that the feed is blended and it is available to the pigs at the barns. But how can we ensure the pigs get it? The pigs eat it, because it is important to know if the pigs like it or not, right?
Yeah. Once again, it's an intelligent yet simple to operate software, but the farm or the production manager works with the feed company to set what we call the feed curve for each batch of finisher, because we know at what day, at what age that we need to adjust, and that's automatically set at the start of the finisher batch. It doesn't have to be manually entered on a daily. This is very similar in a way, I guess, to the poultry feed curve. You set your feed curve at the start of the batch, and the system automatically controls that on a daily basis. And it's important that the feed curve is based on the information provided by the feed company's nutritionist, and the company's nutritionist or farm manager or production manager would work together to agree on that feed curve, and then that's entered, as I said, at the start of the batch, and then they set and forget for the whole batch.
Interesting. But I wonder how more intelligent can this system get? For example, can it help the farms save feed waste? And it's comparing to the traditional phase feeding system.
Yeah, and once again, due to the feed curve, which would be set by the farm manager or the production manager, it therefore mitigates the misuse by farm workers, or takes out that decision making of the farm worker, and therefore mitigates feed waste. So you tend to have, the more farm workers you have, the less control you have. So if that's taken out of their control and given to the farm manager or the production manager, they set the feed curve, then it's only a matter of the farm workers looking at the pigs, but also just double checking that indeed on a daily basis that the feed is being delivered as the system says. And the fact that the Ecomatic system can control, like one unit can control up to 4,000 finisher pigs per unit. So it allows for greater control of the whole production. You know, the production manager is not relying on the farm workers for the result. He's actually more in control. So therefore less waste.
Mm, I see. Having that intelligent system in the farm, I think it is effective. But a system like that is not cheap, right? What can we get out from a system like that? Is it just to save some feed?
Of course, as we stated at the top, the main benefit of the system is to maximize the feed you have to minimize feed costs. Of course, that is the main thing. However, as I mentioned earlier, the system also allows for greater control of the production management. So over your feeding, and furthermore gives real-time data. You know, we're finding more and more customers want to have more control. They want to be able to extract more data and analyze the data. So this system allows real-time data relating to feed conversion, feed consumption, through to the production manager, through what we call a big farm network. So he can access that through an on-farm computer or even on his mobile device. But furthermore, as part of that, for example, the silos are all on scales, and it allows instant feedback on the silos. So remotely, the farm manager, for example, can see how much feed is in every silo. Therefore, the person that's in control of ordering feed, for example, there's no excuse to be running out. Yeah, he's got instant access to this information. But also further to the current world we live in of ASF across Asia. You know, the system allows to reduce the amount of staff, yeah, because it's highly automated. The less staff, the more we enhance our biosecurity, yeah. And then, of course, the last one I would say is due to the higher daily weight gains, we can also reach the desired slaughter weight earlier. Therefore, we can save a few days on the finishing cycle, and that allows for quicker turnaround of batches. So every day we can save pigs actually in the barn, and we can turn around the next batch. That also has a cost-saving effect, of course.
Okay. You mentioned about the cost saving. I like this, but I want to be more realistic and accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about how much can we save and how much can we save from the cost, and how early can we harvest the pigs?
Yeah, well, presuming that we're talking about a modern facility, of course, and good genetics and everything else, which is coming more and more the norm, I would say, throughout Asia now. You know,
Yeah, agree.
the farms are getting bigger, et cetera, et cetera. So through extensive trials that the Big Dutchman has conducted across many countries with this equipment, software, et cetera, we can comfortably state, and I say comfortably or conservatively state, that we can save between 6.5% to 7% of the feed costs in finishing. Now, that in the first instance doesn't sound huge, but 7%, given the currently historically high feed costs, for example, off the top of my head, I would say in Vietnam, around 550 US dollars a ton. That's 7% is a hell of a lot. So 7% saving is massive, given also the large size, as we mentioned previously, of the finisher facilities utilized across Asia. So you could be talking upwards of $5 US dollars per pig, and that's conservative. But if you think of, $5 per pig, that's a lot. Yeah. If we're talking about the extremely large size of the finishing facilities that are out there today. So that is very, very difficult to extract those sort of savings anywhere else. I mean, if you focus on reducing energy costs, etc., it's extremely difficult to extract, say, $5 or more per pig out of your costs by, for example, focusing on energy. Energy is becoming more and more important, no doubt. But going back to how we started the podcast, feeding costs make up 70%. So this is where we need to focus, reducing those costs.
Sure. Totally agree with you. So from what you've shared, I've learned that there are 3 benefits that we can have from an intelligent feeding program to save the cost. First of all, we can give the pigs the nutritious and delicious food that can ease them into the sensitive periods of diet changes. Second, we can reduce feed waste, but we still have the better big pig growth rate. And finally, we can generally save the costs by reducing feed cost, and we can have maybe more producing cycles with quicker money flows. Am I understanding it right?
Yes, I guess absolutely correct. In those 3 points, maximizing the feed, maximizing the feed we have, and therefore minimizing the costs. And I guess 2 other points, to go away with, we gain a greater management over the control of the production. We're not reliant on farm staff as much. That decision making is at the production manager level, or even the farm manager or the nutritionist level. And the last one, which is very important these days, enhancing the biosecurity, because we're reducing the amount of farm staff. Farm staff and trucks or any vehicles entering the farm, we need to, of course, eliminate vehicles coming and going, but we also need to minimize the amount of farm staff.
Sure. Those are 2 very excellent points. So is there anything else you want to add before we end the podcast?
Well, I guess, electronic feeding systems for multi-phase feeding, it's the future, or it's the now. And they're fast becoming a must-have on all farms to minimize cost and maximize profits. At the end of the day, that's what we're here for, is to try and assist our customers in maximizing the profitability of their enterprises. So Big Dutchman is ready, willing, and able to tailor-make electronic feeding solutions for each of our customers' needs. And thank you for the opportunity to exchange these ideas.
Yeah, thank you very much for your sharing, Nigel. I hope after listening to this podcast, our audience is more confident to apply the precision feeding to their farms and improve their performance. Thank you very much.
Thank you again. We'll catch up soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We hope you gathered some valuable information from this podcast and look forward to seeing how you can adapt this information in your farms. Thank you for listening in. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more on the Asian animal protein industry, please visit www.asian-agribiz.com.